Hello and welcome. I'm Jackie Stennett, a U.S. Army veteran and the Vice President of Academy Women. Thank you all for taking time out of your busy schedules to join us for today's event. We have participants joining today who represent every branch of military service and every duty status from across the globe. For 2022, Academy Women's Career Coaching Workshop, which is held as an annual event, will continue to extend its reach by bringing you a monthly webinar series. As with our in-person career workshop event, the 2022 virtual webinar series will provide insights from subject matter experts and thought leaders who will share their knowledge on a broad array of topics designed to support the professional and personal development of military leaders, as well as provide opportunities for those in career transition to connect directly with resources and top-tier military-friendly employers. Be sure to join us immediately following today's webinar, where you'll have the opportunity to connect one-on-one with a member of the Amazon team. For those who indicated during the webinar's registration process that you'd like the opportunity to do so, you should have already received an email with the link inviting you to register on the site where these one-on-one meetings will be taking place. In case you missed it, you can register now by scanning the QR code or visiting the link that appears on your screen and in the chat. Registration should take less than 2 minutes to complete. Again, these one-on-one meetings will take place after today's webinar has ended. We have an impressive lineup for this year's webinar series with today's guest, Amazon, and upcoming speakers from Leidos, Travelers, Deloitte, and Johnson & Johnson. Stay tuned as we announce new speakers and topics as they are added. Today, we're pleased to welcome our presenting partner, Amazon. With a pledge to hire over 100,000 U.S. veterans and military spouses by 2024, Amazon is actively seeking women veterans to join their teams located around the globe. Thank you, Amazon, for your continued support and commitment to military women and the military community. A special thanks goes out to Michelle Mills and Bo Higgins, who both hold special ties to the military community and who work diligently behind the scenes in support of military members in career transition, and who are also responsible for bringing opportunities like today's webinar to fruition. You'll meet the rest of the Amazon team shortly, but first, I'd like to introduce Susan Phelan, who will be your host today. Susan is a U.S. Air Force veteran, a graduate of the U.S. Air Force Academy, and is the founder and president of Academy Women. We've got a lot to cover today, so let's get started. Please join me in welcoming Susan to the virtual stage. Enjoy the discussion, everyone. I hope today's event will be helpful to you as you navigate your next steps. Susan, over to you.
Thank you, Jackie. It is a pleasure to be here with you all today. You are really in for a treat. We have some fantastic guests, and I'm going to let them get started as soon as we do a very quick comms check. So let's see here. One minute. All right. Go ahead and see if you can move your cursor around and enter into the Q&A field in your chat field. Also, go ahead and raise your hand so that I could be sure to see you. And we will make sure we have a good communication. All right, fantastic. You can go ahead and lower your hand. All right. Before we get started, I'd like to ensure that the words and background that's going to be shared by Amazon is strictly that of Amazon. Of course, we endorse them, yet we are not party to or in any way responsible for monitoring the transactions between you and them. Next, I'd like to introduce Courtney Dota, Beatrice McGarriger, and Michelle Mills. They will be leading the discussion for today, and I'm going to give them an opportunity to share a little bit more about their background as they share with you opportunities at Amazon as well as their own stories. Michelle, over to you.
Thank you so much. We'd like to start out by saying thank you, Susan and Jackie, for having us in the larger Academy Women organization. It's always such a pleasure to be here and to be able to share a little bit about what Amazon has going on in our veteran and military spouse space. It's something we're all closely related to and passionate about. So we're just really grateful for this opportunity to connect with the community. All right, next slide. All right, so a little bit about what we're going to cover today. We're going to go, of course, through a welcome, introductions. I'm going to have Courtney and Beatrice both give a little background, and myself. We're going to talk about different roles we have. So we have positions that require degrees, positions that don't. Beatrice is going to be our guest speaker today and share a little bit about her experience and through Amazon from the journey from veteran into the organization. We're going to walk you through what it takes to get hired, give you some tips and tricks and hints. We're going to talk about some of our other programs that we have available, whether our returnships, our SkillBridge, apprenticeships, always hot interest within the community. And so we want to make sure we get that information out. And then we'll open it up for Q&A at the very end. So we're going to go ahead and go right to the introductions. And I'll actually have Courtney, I think we moved the slide out. So Courtney, if you want to introduce yourself first, that would be great. And then Beatrice.
Yeah, hi everyone, glad to be here. I'm Courtney Dota. I've been with Amazon about 2 years now, and I am a mill spouse. My husband served in the Marine Corps, and he was out in San Diego at Camp Pendleton, and now we live in Richmond, Virginia with our 2 sons. I've been in the recruiting and talent acquisition world for about 15 years, which is crazy to think about. But it's cool living in San Diego. And then again, in the Norfolk area, I've had the opportunity to hire veterans throughout most of my career. So joining this team and slowly focusing on veterans was a really cool opportunity. So very glad to be here and excited about this call today.
All right, Beatrice, if you would like to give your introduction.
Yes, hello everyone. My name is Beatrice. I'm going to give you a little bit of a rundown for my background in education and then Amazon. Everything is pretty much a very diverse. When it comes to education, I'm a biologist with an MBA, right? I was born and raised in Canary Islands of Spain, but I belong to the US Navy. So now that I'm telling you a little bit about my background, that is not Amazon, let's go talk about Amazon. When we think about Amazon, back in 2020, the pandemic hit, I had time on my hands to invest into learning what Amazon was, what Amazon had opportunities to give, right? Which opportunities I fit in. Right after that, I found out that Amazon had a military community. For me, that was mind blowing, knowing that I had individuals that were focused on us and us only, that their main goal is to reach, how I mentioned earlier, or pledge, right? Ensuring that we hire at least 100,000 military or military spouses by 2025. So we are all invested into. After that, I have to educate myself, right? We have to educate into what Amazon has a company culture, what opportunities they have to invest. And more important was, how can I translate my skills to the Amazon world, right? Because Amazon is very complex, but you have people like Michelle and Courtney that will help you to navigate through it. After I did all these, trials and went to learning what Amazon was, fast forward 3 months after, I was in the FC as an area manager, 2020, right in June 2020. In the FC, I got the opportunities to work on the logistics side of the house, completely outside of my scope, if you think about it. But then when you go and learn how your skills translate to Amazon, no, I was right in the right place. Soon after, 10, 11 months into it, as a military spouse myself, I had to relocate. It was a time where you don't know in a company, right? No, with Amazon, I can guarantee you that. But with companies, you don't know, are you going to be able to relocate? Do you have to start again? With Amazon and more in the military, we have a full community of military spouses where there are different programs and a lot of people to support you through the process to ensuring that you are moving forward with your career with Amazon. You're valuable, and that's why they invest the way they do in all these programs. Right after I had to come 2021, I say, hey, I need to move. All these groups came in and say, let's go move. Where do you need to go? Where do your spouse have to relocate? When I had to relocate, easy transition, support from all kind of my supervisors to my military community. Ended up working into a AMZL, that is our last mile. Was there for close to a year. Another opportunity came in. Some of the individuals in this call were part of my ability to move forward and keep moving in the company. In the last 3 weeks, I started a project manager with Amazon, where I am focusing in the North America DEI OpStec IT. So how you can tell, really diverse background, but moving forward, learning the growth with Amazon, it has no limits.
Thank you. And I am Michelle Mills. I am an active duty Air Force spouse. My husband has served 23 years. I've been around for the entire time. We are currently stationed out in Tucson, Arizona. It's our second tour there, which we love. We feel very fortunate to be a part of the community. I came to Amazon through a Milspouse Fellowship. My now boss was working on our Global Military Affairs organization. She's also an active duty Air Force spouse, and she saw a real opportunity to provide experienced recruiters the opportunity to work for Amazon. And so she started a fellowship program, and I spent my first 2.5 months as a contractor and then became what we call a blue badge, which is our full employee. And I spent total time in that team about 9 months. And then at the end of 2019, my now boss stood up this team. And really it was the focus on, we want to have very targeted, conscious, dedicated initiatives towards veteran and mil-spouse hiring. And so our small kind of ragtag team started with about 7 of us. Courtney and I were part of the initial cadre. We're really fortunate to say now that there are 20 of us. So my role has changed over my time. I went from a sourcing recruiter to now where I'm one of our recruiting managers. There's a couple of us on the team. And my side of the house is we pretty much provide opportunities on everything outside of area managers and operations managers. That's still one of our great fields, like Beatrice, how she got her start, but we now have all these other great opportunities, which we'll share a little bit later, how our team has grown. All right, so we're going to go ahead and move on forward here. I'm going to turn it over to Courtney.
Yeah, so we'll go over and we'll go through non-degreed roles first. I won't read through each one of these, but like Michelle was saying before, when our team started, you know, we only started out with area and operations manager roles. We did see, you know, transitioning veterans and veterans do really well in those roles. Everybody said coming in, you know, the leadership and the structure was very similar. So it was a really good entry point to transition into. However, we did see people come in, kind of like Beatrice too, that go into other roles, right? After area or operations managers. And we said, okay, since people are rolling into these other roles, veterans are coming in and then moving into these other roles, can we have them just join directly in these roles? So that was really exciting. Having non-degreed roles as well was something that I know that Michelle specifically too has fought really hard for. This is really exciting that we're able to offer these, you know, as people transition out into veterans, you know, that have previously transitioned out. But these are some of the non-degreed roles. You can read through those again in Brazen afterwards. If you guys have specific questions on any of these, please definitely reach out to us. We would love to talk more about these or put you in touch with a recruiter that can either help you apply or tell you a little bit more about them. And next slide. And these are the degreed roles. Again, if there's any of these specifically that stick out, definitely let us know, dear Brazen, and we can help put you in touch with them. I run our military pathways. I kind of forgot that in my intro, but I run our military pathways program, so that holds a special place in my heart. It's for directly transitioning veterans that go into a fast track into executive level leadership. So you start out as an area manager, everybody does, no matter what rank you were coming out of the military, and then you work up through the ranks, if you will, of area manager, operations, senior ops, and then when you like quote unquote graduate, you're a level 8 general manager. But it's a really cool role. It's very popular within the veteran community. But that's what I run. And if you have any questions, please reach out to me directly. But looking through these, we have a wide variety of roles. Again, starting this team 2.5 years ago to see these 2 slides right now is so exciting. Something that I don't think any of us thought was going to happen 2.5 years ago that quickly for this many roles. So if you guys have any questions, definitely reach out on either the non-degreed or degreed roles, and we can tell you more.
Thank you. And next slide. So Beatrice, you touched a little bit on your career and your journey. And I love that you said, it made sense for you to come here. I would love if you would expand upon what you learned in the military, those skills that you got in the military, and how they really set you up for success in Amazon, and how you felt that coming into the organization that your gift was able to be a benefit to the organization and how it helped your team. So I'd love for you to speak a little bit on that side, on why that area manager path and what it's set you up for was a great opportunity for you personally coming out of the military.
Yes, Michelle. So one of the biggest things about being an area manager, an operations manager, is leading people, right? You have a big group of associates, right, that you have to lead. In the military, that's one of the things that we take pride of. We lead soldiers, we lead sailors, whatever branch of the military you're in. As a leader in the military, I was able to develop a lot of skills that I was able to translate and utilize to be successful in Amazon. At the beginning, when I start as an area manager, you think this is logistics. I don't come from logistics. I'm a comeback engineer. Like, why am I doing as an area manager? And soon after it clicks, I was able to bring to the community, bring to my team that sense of leading by example, that having what we call ethos in the military, bring it into Amazon and have everybody just following like we were working together forever. And that's just to tell you an example of them. There's so many other ones that I am thankful that I came to Amazon as an area manager that allow me to grow and develop myself to be who I am today.
Thank you. All right, let's go to next slide here. So this is $1 million question. Everyone's like, how do we get hired? There are 35,000 jobs on our career board at any given time or more. And so we want to give you some of the quick hints here. First thing is you're going to need to go to our career page. That little snippet there, though, with the picture is something we really want to highlight to you, is that we have this great program. We understand that it can be a little daunting when you're like, I'm not sure exactly what I want to do post-service. I don't know what all is there to offer. And if it exists in the world, it exists at Amazon. So that can be really overwhelming. Well, we have this incredible tool. It is on our main landing page for the military. And you can see there's a block that says veteran and mil spouse. And what this is, it's going to ask you a series of questions. It's going to go through your MOS, time served, degree, non-degree. It will ask you if there are certain keywords you might be interested in. Maybe it's HR. Maybe you're really interested in human resources. So you're going to put in all these different questions and answers, put it all together. And at the end, it's going to give you a suggestion. It's going to provide a list, sometimes 5, maybe 7, 10 roles. And it will say, hey, have you thought about these positions? What it does is use smart analytics between the MOSs and time served and really coordinates with what we have internally. And where it tries to find you is like a match of what might be based on your keywords or what you've done that you'd be interested in doing. Now you can do this exercise a couple different times, like you can do one keyword, get a couple different suggestions, do another one, but it is a great way if you're like, I don't know what I want to do, or I'm not sure what might be available. This is an amazing tool. So I highly recommend that you visit our career page, the /military one, and that you use the Upline tool. The other benefit to this program is recruiters like Courtney, my team, when we are looking for somebody, we might go like, hey, I've got an opening in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I wonder if, and I need a veteran for it. I'd like to see who might be interested. Well, we can go into the system and go, oh, look, I had 4 veterans in Tulsa say they might be interested in operations, or it looks like that might be a good fit. And we can go find you. So this puts you in a database. It puts you in a resume book that our recruiters can then go into and help find you. So if we're looking for program managers or HR, we can use this tool. Because you filled it out and given us your information, we can use this tool to go help find you a position too. So it's just a great way to get on there. Of course, then we're going to go ahead and apply. We're going to apply to the position. Applications, depending on the role, are going to vary. Sometimes you're going to apply and you're going to take an assessment as part of your application. Sometimes you're going to apply and then you get asked to do an assessment later. Some don't have an assessment. You won't know until the whole thing comes through, but on your application, on your dashboard, it will tell you if you are applied, under consideration, or no longer under consideration, but it will also tell you if it's in progress. So if you've applied to a position and it's not changed to the full applied status, that probably means you got an email, most likely in your junk folder, that we need to go in there and provide some more information or maybe take an assessment. So keep a close eye on that and make sure it gets that applied. Courtney, I'm sure can vouch for this, especially with the popularity of our Pathways program. All resumes are reviewed by recruiters. And when we have some very special programs, positions that are virtual, elite programs like Courtney's, there are lots and lots of applications that will go in for it, hundreds, sometimes thousands. And so it takes us a while. It can take us a bit to go through and make sure we have the most highly qualified candidates. And so again, your status is applied, under consideration, no longer under consideration. So keep an eye on your dashboard just to know what your current status is. And you can sit and applied or under consideration for quite a while as we're going through the different applications. Then we're going to interview you. Interview could be different. It could be a phone interview. You could go immediately to what we call our on-site, which is all virtual, but the actual meet with 2 to 5 different people. So it's going to depend. But that interview, we're going to do our best to tell you within 5 business days the answer. And it's going to be, yes, we're moving forward. Yes, we'd like to move forward. Maybe it's not this role, or, unfortunately at this point, we're not going to move forward. There's a number of different reasons why any of those can happen. Unfortunately, we don't give you feedback outside of that, but that's just what you get is yes, no, or let's talk about something else. Now, Courtney, because Pathways is pretty particular, and I know there's always a lot of interest, do you want to walk through what to expect in that program?
Yes, for Pathways, it's not super different, I would say, as far as timeline. We do get a lot of applications for that. So I feel like as far as when I'm able to go in and review the resumes, that might take a couple weeks because there is a large volume of people that do apply. The Pathways program, when you do apply, there is an assessment. We always tell people whenever you're taking an assessment, make sure you're not doing it on your phone. Sit down on your computer, take your time, because it can, if someone doesn't, you could technically not pass, right? And not get moved on to the job. So we always really encourage people, sit down on a computer, have some time to think. It takes, for Pathways specifically, it can take anywhere from 45 minutes to an hour. So definitely take your time and think through that. The next step in the process is a phone interview. The good thing about our team that I think is really cool and unique with Amazon is we help get you ready and prepared and know what to expect. We want to eliminate as much ambiguity throughout the interview process as possible. The goal when you finally make it to the on-site, so the phone interview, and then there's an on-site, it's a virtual, we still call it on-site, interview with anywhere from, for Pathways, it's 3 people, other roles, it could be up to 5. But the goal really is to have you get on that interview and feel fully confident that you have the experience that we're looking for, and you know how to deliver your answers, you know what the interviewers are looking for, and you fully understand the job. So we spend a lot of time with you guys, helping getting you prepped. I know for Military Pathways specifically, I hold a call before the phone interview. And I have somebody currently in the Military Pathways program join to be able to speak about their experience and how they related it to the interview questions. and what experience to pull and really what the interviewers are looking for. And then before the final stage or the final interview, I hop on a call with everyone for about 45 minutes to really dive deeper into any questions and scenarios that you might be using and saying, hey, does this sound good? You know, too detailed, not detailed enough. And we're able to really fine tune it. And again, the goal is to make the candidates feel very comfortable going into the interview. And again, eliminating any ambiguity.
I love that you brought that up because it's something unique that if you apply to a position that our team supports, that you get this extra, we call them basically the cliff notes. We're going to tell you that when you're interviewing, we're looking for star formatted answers to our questions. We're going to tell you that all the questions are based off our leadership principles. So if you have not checked out our 16 leadership principles, you've got some homework to do because everything is going to be based around that. And they are behavior-based questions. We're not asking you random ones. We're not trying to trick you. There really is no like, hey, we're going to see if we can throw them off their game. We're going to ask you things like, tell me about a time you did this. You know, we want to hear your experience. Now, so Courtney, if somebody's interested, obviously, you know, if they can come through our program, it's amazing. We get that great support. How do you recommend people find our roles? If they're searching on the career board or they're searching it, what's the easiest way to find our positions?
Yeah, so all the positions that we own specifically will say military veterans encouraged to apply. So if it says that, our team handles it. So that is a direct indicator.
And the unique thing about our team is all 20 of us we're either military spouses or veterans, or military spouses that their veteran has transitioned. It is a really unique perspective, and we have every single service represented outside of Space Force, which is new. So we got some time to catch that one up, but we got enough Air Force on us. So Cece's is nodding her head. We got enough Air Force on us. We can speak Space Force, but that's a very unique thing as well, is that we are coming from the perspective of we have been closely related to this. This is something that is a passion project for everybody in our team because this is our community. This is our teams, and it's where we've come from. So, you know, again, it's very fortunate that Amazon's got this attention to detail, that they put the team behind it. And when you come through our program, you're going to be relating to individuals who have an understanding. And every single interview, Courtney would be able to tell you, when you go to the final interview, there will always be at least one veteran on your loop. To us, that's very important. We want to make sure that there is somebody, they might not be from the same service, but we think it's very important when we bring a team together to discuss somebody joining us that we have that veteran perspective. Of course, our recruiting team's always on it, but we want to make sure that that's there as well. All right, let's go to next slide. All right, I'm going to really quickly cover what returnships are, and then I'm going to let Courtney use this SkillBridge and apprenticeship programs and very tightly within the military pathways program as well. But the returnship program, so this is not unique to Amazon. While we have it and it's something we love, you know, we'd love to share about it. Returnship programs also exist in other companies as well. And basically for Amazon, we're looking for somebody who's been underemployed or unemployed for at least 1 year. They are virtual 16-week paid programs. Really the potential behind this and our whole hope is that with that kind of ramp back, so maybe if we're speaking in HR, you're going through what the newest laws, regulations, EEO, all that kind of stuff that's HR related, that would be thorough in your training. Or finance, you know, maybe there's a new trend, a new program or a program we use, we're going to train you on that. But our whole hope and our intentions are that at the end of that 16 weeks, should everything go well, it's a good fit for you, it's a good fit for us, and it's mutual agreement that we would be giving you a full-time position behind it. Now it changes all the time. So there are, you know, different business lines will be like, hey, we're really excited. We'd love to offer this opportunity. This is very common in our male spouses. It's common in our veterans who maybe have taken a break to help care for family members. There's a number of different things. So I always encourage people to look at returnships on our landing page and see what's up there and keep checking it frequently because it's going to change all the time. But it is, again, a great way if you've been or underemployed for at least a year that you can kind of ramp back into a new career field. And then I'll let Courtney go ahead and go through the SkillBridge because we get asked this all the time.
Yes. Yeah. I get asked about SkillBridge a lot. We have SkillBridge for military pathways. We do it in ops as well. Michelle, do you do it in specialty? I actually don't know that.
We do. Yeah. We
Okay.
offer it in a number of different orgs.
Okay, good. I thought so. I just want to see that. So for SkillBridge, obviously the last 180 days of service is when you would be approved to be able to come into the SkillBridge program. You would need approval, but it's a really cool program that you get to come in, see the job, learn the job, really try to understand, is this something you want to do, right? It helps really ease those nerves as you transition into the civilian world, and you really can essentially try before you buy, right? And so for military pathways specifically, there's usually some sort of stretch project that you do. And then at the end of the program, you will present on it. We've gotten some really good feedback. It's just a really cool way to be able to learn about the company while you're still in the service. And then again, we have our HOH programs as well. And those are regionally supported. The apprenticeships, I don't know as much about these, Michelle. I don't know if you want to talk about it, but I know it's, a paid training as opposed to SkillBridge, is unpaid. But it's where you can really come in and learn a new role. Recruiting specifically being one of them. I know that we've had a really good traction for the recruiting apprenticeships.
Yeah, absolutely. So you're right. The difference of the apprenticeships are really trying to train somebody in a field that they're not currently in. So we've got some really cool ones we've got coming out here that are like non-tech. Maybe you're interested in breaking into tech. Actually, Beatrice's team and OTIT, OpsTech IT, we're going to be launching one with there. So somebody who is interested in developing a tech career, but maybe it wasn't in your MOS or it wasn't something that you had the exposure to. Well, great. We're going to have these programs that we're going to help take you from no tech background to become like a network admin or sysadmin, which are vital components of every building we have to make sure things happen. And there's going to be a number of other ones. You have probably seen them on our board, again, on that landing page for military that we shared at the beginning. If you scroll down, there are different links at the bottom that talk about, apprenticeships, and that changes all the time because maybe AWS has a new one rolling or a new like cohort they're going to run. So it's something you want to keep looking at. And it's, obviously very important because it's got a lot of great information to help somebody go into something they haven't been. We have one right now that's not technically an apprenticeship, but an alternative career path. We have individuals who get out of the service and would love to learn to be CDL truck drivers. So we have a whole program now where we can hire you. We're going to train you to drive trucks, get your CDL, and you can drive trucks for Amazon. It's an amazing way to be able to go into a field because for the CDLs, that can be a very costly schooling. It can cost multiple thousands of dollars to be able to get that. And there are 8 MOSs in the military, which is super cool, that if you did it in the military, that all 50 states honor it. And so all you have to do is then go take the written test. So it's a super fast pathway to be able to go get your CDL. So these are the kind of programs that we can offer and we can talk about. We do put in there about military spouses, a little bit about SkillBridge. So Amazon is not only our own SkillBridge provider, so we have our individual fellowships, we develop our own programs, but we're also very closely related with hiring our heroes. We support every single cohort. So those 3 cohorts a year we are involved with. And on the mil spouse side, we have some of our own internal SkillBridge that are new, which is amazing. We're in the process of developing them out. But HOH is another great one if you've got a mil spouse that maybe looks for that opportunity. And then even some regionally supported. There are different counties I've encountered across the United States that they have their own internal program. So if you're looking for that, I encourage anybody, SkillBridge, or if you're looking for your spouse, to really dive in there and go like, okay, what's all available? And it might be something a little untraditional like a county program, but it's still another great way to get that training with the hope and the intentions are that there's a job at the end of it. All right, next slide. I think we might be at Q&A. We are. Awesome. So we're going to turn it back over. Susan's going to kind of moderate for us, correct?
Yes, thank you, Michelle. Thank you, Beatrice. Thank you, Courtney. That was so informative. And thank you also for sharing your stories. It's so helpful. I can definitely relate, as well as many others on the call. I'm sure they can relate to your various journeys. The opportunity now is to all of you in our audience to ask questions. I am going to launch a poll so that you can tell us who you are and where you're coming from, so that we could better answer additional questions. While we're waiting for all of you to enter questions into the chat, we are going to start with one that came in through Q&A. Again, you can put your questions into Q&A or into the chat. And this question comes from an anonymous attendee. And the question is, what is the highest ranking veteran to join your team? And can you tell us what kinds of roles would be available for those who have a very experienced military career and come with a high level of expertise?
Yes. So on our particular team, if you're thinking on our recruiting team, I'm actually not sure what our highest ranking veteran was. On the mil spouse side, my husband is a full bird, so 06, that's the level of exposure we have. Now, when we're thinking about those individuals with higher level of experience in the military and how they come into Amazon, depending on their career field, they're very much a Courtney Dota program, depending if they're coming out of some of the elites. We hire all the way to 1-stars. There are obviously opportunities for above that, but I think directly out of our team, we have hired everything from, that 4-year and out all the way up to 1-star generals. And it's going to be up to you on what you would like to do. Again, we look at your resume and we might have a dream job that we're like, hey, I would love to plug you into that, but it might not be something you're passionate about just because you did in the military or your background is really common or something that has been successful in one of the orgs. We might look in and go like, hey, this would be great for you, but it doesn't mean that you're going to be passionate about it. So that's why we encourage you to use those tools like Upline, attend webinars, learn about the different roles so you can have an understanding about maybe what your passion is. Because some of these roles like loss prevention is not like loss prevention and like a retail company. You're not like tackling people running out of the store. That's a whole other team. Our loss prevention are our critical incident managers. They are called in when anything happens in the building that needs to have that critical incident manager. They're working with our GSOC, our Global Security Operations Center. They're calling in emergency teams, whatever they need to. So for us, loss prevention is a whole other thing that by title, you probably wouldn't know it was that cool. It's actually one of the coolest teams we work with. I love that team. But you wouldn't know if you don't kind of attend. So again, it's going to take some research to be able to understand what is available. Courtney, did you want to add anything to that?
I would just say I guess the only thing is as far as how we have the military pathways program, we now have some roles through our consumer, so Amazon.com, so working with sellers on that, where they look for the same profile type that I do for military pathways. So it's a really good avenue to come in that's not an ops, right? If ops is not your thing, and again, it's not going to be everybody's thing, but coming in and being able to either partner with our sellers and help them be strategic on how they can hit their business goals. We have some PM roles that are called customer success managers, but essentially it's a program manager for Amazon Robotics, which is, again, really cool that we're going to be starting to support. So just being able to have those opportunities is really neat. But again, it's the same type of profile, that I look for. So someone coming out with 22 years of experience from military would probably could transition into one of those roles as well.
Great. Another question, are returnships predominantly for a certain area of Amazon? And if so, what areas?
They are all across Amazon. It just depends on the different teams and organizations that want to support it. So that's why it's important to look at that page pretty frequently because it will change and update. Perhaps it's a finance team that is initiating one and they're really excited about it. They might fill it up, then HR launches one, so there's a number of different ones. But yeah, it's all across Amazon.
Great. Another question came in about the Pathways program. Is it for both veterans as well as military spouses? And if it says military veterans are encouraged to apply in a job description, is that handled by your team? And would that also include military spouse?
So the military pathways program is not open yet to spouses. It is just for directly transitioning veterans. The military veterans encouraged to apply. I know that there are some maybe that are spouses. Michelle, are you able to speak to that? Because I know I probably have more tunnel vision on pathways.
Yeah, so I would always encourage you to apply. So even if you're a male spouse and you see that moniker on there, please apply to it. We do have some teams that we do direct male spouse recruiting for as well. It's kind of a separate whole bucket. And so we love to get the applications. If you're a military spouse, we say don't hide it. You should put it loud and proud on your resume. If you're a veteran, the same thing. We're going to want you to self-identify when you also apply. It doesn't show to the recruiter in the system, but what happens is when you apply and once you get the job, we've got these really cool, exciting things that will be layered into your onboarding to help connect you to our Warriors group, our internal mentorship program, some of our other affinity groups, and it will also provide some little additional trainings. So it's something that, again, it does not show when you apply. We read military pretty well on our team, so it's great. But it provides you, once you get hired, some really great extra tools. So yes, please apply. Please make it obvious. Sometimes we know different orgs. You're told to sanitize down your resume, get all the military speak off of it. Sometimes they get so clean that we are like, are they GS? Were they contractor? So loud and proud military, put it on there. We're telling you we want to hire 100,000 veterans and mil spouses. Don't hide it. It's like the company you don't have to finally hide it for. One thing though, when you're applying, and especially, we're thinking about all these different backgrounds you can go to, when you apply, you get one resume in the system and only one resume. So if you apply to an ops manager and you've got this great ops manager resume, but then you also apply to an ops tech sys engineering role, look at the basic qualifications and make sure that your resume speaks to it, all the basic qualifications on any position you have out there, because we have to see it on paper to move forward with you. It's something that is required. And so you really should be strategic in how you apply to make sure that your resume encompasses the jobs you're interested in. Individuals think that they can get creative and kind of get around it by creating duplicate profiles and one resume is here for these jobs. Our systems are smart, our recruiters are even smarter, and we find them, and we have to give fair consideration. We need all the information in one spot, and so we will combine them. So if your resume says, I want to, this resume is for a project manager at Amazon, and you also applied to an ops manager or an ops tech IT position, you can imagine when that goes up to the hiring manager and they're like, they don't even want my job. They said operations, So we want to make sure that your resume is very clear to the basic qualifications for those.
Michelle, I'm glad you mentioned that. We have a question from Tabitha about whether or not she should put 2 applications in through the 2 different portals. She had already put one in through the main Amazon portal, but would it be wise for her to put one in for the Amazon military website?
They are linked. And so while the veteran one has, the military one has all those great tools on the bottoms, different programs we're running, they are linked. It all goes in the exact same system. So if they tried to go through the system and apply to the same position, it would tell you you've already applied. So nope, no worries about that. You don't have to go in and do 2 applications for every role. It's going to bring it all together.
Fantastic. Can you talk a little bit about various certifications that really matter, specifically the program management certification? Would it be, would this be essential for program manager positions? Can you talk a little bit about what you're asking for requirements?
Well, I'd love Beatrice to answer. First of all,
Yes.
What's yours?
Yeah, so one of the biggest things that I always say is when you look at an application, go to your basic qualifications and make sure that you meet every single of those basic qualifications. Of course, there's a preferred qualifications that it will be good to have. It's going to help you to navigate where you're inside of the job. But the most important thing is to make sure that if it's part of your basic qualifications, that you have them. I don't want to say, yes, you always need it, or no, you don't, because each job is individual. Each hiring manager wants their qualifications based on their needs for that specific role. So me saying, yes, you need the certifications, it will not be correct. But I will tell you that any education that you can get on your back and you can bring into Amazon, it will be well worth it.
Great. Now, this is a question about a particular region, specifically Northern Virginia, from Sharon Moore. But how can you learn more about particular positions open in certain geographies of the country? And the follow-on to that would be, is there flexibility with the geography?
Courtney, I know that's when you get a lot. So why don't you take that one?
Yeah, absolutely. It's hard to say for Northern Virginia specifically. If you go to the jobs website, you can filter for location. And then you can even filter down, to job categories. So you can see really what we have in that location. I will say, and again, it's so exciting. I kind of actually left it off on the roles slide, but we have roles that are virtual roles now, which is awesome because we have not had that a lot in the past. And so some teams, when you're virtual, they do want you in a specific location or a specific area, right? But you could still be virtual. And that's because they want you tied to a specific office. So if you do have to go in at any point, like once a quarter, you can do that easily. So I know Arlington is one of those locations. So they might say like, okay, just you can work virtually, but you might have to live, within a 2-hour radius of there. And I know there's another one for Santa Monica and for Austin, Texas. So all not bad locations. We have some other roles though as well that they don't care where you live. You can live wherever you want. That's so exciting. Again, to be able to offer this to veterans. And then we have other roles that, require you to be at a site. But again, we have a variety of roles, which is exciting. So as far as location, definitely go into the job site and pick your location, and you'll see virtual and remote as an option as well, if that's something that you're looking for.
Fantastic. Another question from Sharon Moore. How does the contractor to blue badge work?
So that is going to depend on the role. Some positions, especially some positions, the contract time is, can be 10 months, it can be 9 months, it can be 4 months, or all over the place. Occasionally a contractor is there to fill a short-term need. So it might be something that, we're plussing up in a division for peak season. And so we're going to add X amount of headcount in that. And really it's only the need is during that time frame. And so there's not a guarantee for the full-time position on the backside. We have other roles that it is contract to intentional perm. If everything goes well, that's the whole intention would be hopefully to convert you, which is, like the program Courtney and I came through both as recruiters, is that we came in as contractors and with all hope that, should it go well, that we would get placed full-time on a team. There's a background check that you go through as a contractor. It's slightly different than a blue badge background check. So, when you are interviewed, you still have to fully interview for your blue badge role. That was, while Courtney and I had both been in our positions for a number of months, when it came time to become a blue badge, we had to go through and actually interview for it. Our interviews were with 5 people. It was a lot, I'll be honest. It was a little bit much, but it was good. It's very thorough. And then, we were given our offers and went through background, and then 2 weeks later, or 2-3 weeks later, we were able to start. So it's going to depend, unfortunately. And again, some are temporary, some are just a fill the moment need, for a couple weeks, months, whatever. And other ones have the intention more to try to get to a full-time role.
Thank you. Katrina has a question. She's been a veteran who separated from the military about 22 years ago. Are your veteran programs only for recent veterans, or would this be something she should consider?
Beatrice, you want to talk to that one, and then Courtney?
Yes, I can, of course. When I came to Amazon, I was already 3 years separated from active duty. The skill bridge, right? Courtney will talk about it. It has some differentiations in there, but anything else that it says military encouraged to apply, when you're a veteran forever. So anything that is linked to the military, Amazon will make sure that you go through that military program as a military when you identify yourself, and no matter if it's 2 years, 5 years, 20 years, 22 years. Thank you for your service 22 years ago too. I mean, the opportunities are endless. I know there are some differentiations in some of the jobs in there. I know Courtney could elaborate more on that side. I don't want to say anything incorrectly on the recruiting side of the house. But yes, there's many jobs available, even if you separated 22 years ago.
And the military pathways is the only one that wouldn't be available. It's for directly transitioning. And the idea for that is we really want it to be your first job coming out of the military. Besides that, I mean, no, you can apply to any of the roles. Like Beatrice said, when, no matter how long you've been out, you're a veteran, right? So you qualify. And I apologize, my children are home today, 2 more days of summer. So if you hear them in the background, they're getting a little rowdy.
Hey, that's real world.
And speaking of working from home, Sarita has a question about, do you have experience working with people working virtually in completely different time zones and countries? Would it be possible to work from Japan, for example, if you could work virtually?
So that's going to depend. Our particular team goes across all the time zones within the United States. There's an EMEA team that's an EMEA. What happens when we go international, we get asked this all the time, like, hey, I really want to go back and work in Germany. That's where I loved. I want to get out, go there. Every country has SOFA agreements. There's different rules about visas and work visas and everything else. And so you need to research the position and have some knowledge on the country. There might be language requirements. So if you're in Japan, they might physically not be able to sponsor you to be there. They might not pay for the visa based on the role for you to be there, because if you're working from that country, you really are to adhere to the laws. And so it's not an easy yes, no. It depends on the role. It depends on the team. Our particular team only handles North America. We've got Canadian roles, and we also have, of course, the CONUS United States. Hawaii is not open yet. We always get asked about Hawaii. It's just not open yet for our roles because fulfillment center is not built yet. But then anything else international, you really just need to look at the role and you need to apply. One thing I will say, though, if you're applying to a position, especially anything out of the EU, one of the questions you're going to be asked, and this will impact every application you have at Amazon, is, are you open to be contacted about other positions? You need to answer yes. If you answer no, then say we're using our great systems. We're in there, we're looking for somebody with that, leadership experience, 5 years, we're going in there. We might find your profile and it could look amazing, but if you answer no, we are legally not allowed to approach you and ask you, like, hey, I saw you applied to this position, but have you ever thought of this, account manager roles we have? They're super cool and you've got this great background for it. We cannot legally ask you. We cannot approach you. So if you apply to anything out of the EU, this is from the EU, it's because we do business there, but if you apply to anything in Europe, you're going to be asked that question. If you're just applying to US-based roles, it will not come up. It's not applicable. But if you apply to anything out of the European nations, you will be asked, and please, if you want to be approached by, a great recruiter who's looked at your background and thinks you might be wonderful for a job, they needed to answer yes to that, please.
Great tips. Thank you so much. All right, I'd like to encourage everybody who would like to continue the conversation, especially with a one-on-one chat with Amazon. We will have that opportunity available for you. In the chat, you'll see from Jackie Stennett, you'll need to register on the Brazen platform, and the URL and link is in the chat. And you will have the opportunity to meet one-on-one with an Amazon team member, which is such an amazing opportunity. In addition to all this great advice you've shared in this session, we're just excited to make that connection. If there are no more questions, I'm going to go ahead and give you a sneak peek into what we have in our upcoming webinar series. If you find it easier to register for the upcoming Brazen meetings using this QR link, then please go ahead and do that. And we can make that go a little bit more smoothly for you. So thank you, thank you, thank you. It really is a wonderful opportunity to have you all be so genuine and so honest about tips and your stories to share with all of us who are coming behind you and looking for meaningful careers at Amazon. So thank you all. In September, on the 8th, we have another opportunity to learn about careers with other representatives, specifically Leidos. So sign up for that. That is on our Military ALS website. And the URL link is here, militaryals.org webinar series. We will also have additional events coming up through the fall and the winter timeframe. So we hope you join us then. The schedule is here on our slide, but we also have that on the website. Now, we'd also encourage you to reserve the second week in April. We have our career coaching workshop that will be held live in Northern Virginia, as well as our Officer Women Leadership Symposium. And those two events are just fantastic because you connect with military women and veterans from all services all ranks within the officer corps, as well as senior enlisted. And we have an incredible lineup of speakers who are already planning to be there to meet with you, as well as roundtable discussions that are always leave people completely transformed with great insights. So happening now is the one-on-one meeting with Amazon. You also have the opportunity to submit your profile in our, what we call our professional profile directory, our PPD, and we'll make that available to the Amazon team, as well as other organizations interested in hiring military veteran women, and then also making upcoming positions available to for you specifically to understand and get kind of first dibs on what those might be. So learn more at militaryowls.org, and also check out our website, www.academywomen.org, and you can see past events as well as other resources that we make available around transitioning, as well as career development, leadership development. And we look forward to having you, if you're not already, join our community and be part of our ongoing events. So thank you again to the Amazon team. It's been a fantastic discussion. And thank you all for coming and being in attendance today. We hope to see you at the next event. Have a wonderful day.